This is the Astrology and Tarot Show with Jessica Adams.
Thanks, Shane. This is your Astrology and Tarot for the week starting June 8. To hear this time stamped for your sign, pick it up at the Astrology and Tarot Show at substack.com. Your tarot can be decoded at jessicaadams.com. Aries, the Ace of Wands. Taurus, the King of Wands. Gemini, the Three of Wands. Cancer, the Knight of Wands. Leo, the Lovers. Virgo, the Devil. Libra, the Two of Cups. Scorpio, the Queen of Wands. Sagittarius, the Queen of Cups. Capricorn, Temperance. Aquarius, the Ace of Cups. And Pisces, the Three of Pentacles. Now, if you have Gemini and or Virgo factors in your birth chart, on June 11, 12, 13, something will not compute. It will not add up. It may be AI, it may be the web or the media. Choose another time to push through. If you have Leo factors, then from June 13, you are on your way to a new era for you as a parent or as a partner. You can expect a further big leap forward after June 30. Aries, the internet and the media are in the change zone for you, as you know. There is a new twist in the tail again this week. The Uranus and Gemini cycle will bump you along with sudden surprises and maybe the occasional digital shock, which instantly removes you from your old place in the scheme of things online, and it takes you to the next level, sideways. Aries, the way that your destiny will be reshaped at this time will take you higher in the end and towards new places and possibilities which your old life online or with the media never permitted. So let's zoom in on Uranus in Gemini in your third house. Well, you've only had this for a few weeks now, but you are already starting to see how very new and different and liberating life can be. Allowing yourself to be free in a way that was not possible before is exhilarating, but you also have to allow for the predictably unpredictable. So the people that you're dealing with, or maybe the websites or the organizations, are already known to be very hard to call, even days before you have to organize with them. So make allowances for that. Life will zigzag around this week, but what's happening overall is going to give you a completely new replacement for what was there before. For some of you, it may even mean switching off the internet altogether. On a fundamental level, if there have been communication issues for you with hearing, eyesight, speech, and so on, you will be shown a way through that, Aries, as the week goes on. Taurus, your chosen field of achievement will be changing every few months, with Pluto in Aquarius at the top of your horoscope. In fact, you've not seen this in 248 years. This cycle will slowly transform the state of play in your professional or academic life, with your unpaid role, and in terms of the people politics around you. Pluto is about the end of the old order. In fact, it can make it almost impossible to hang on to the way that things used to be, as well as the way that you see your place in the industry, the field, the profession, or the business. What does it mean from July 26th, though, when the North Node is also in Aquarius? Well, this is the second rare cycle. The first one is every 248 years. This second one is every 18 or 19 years. You are going to see repetition from the past, Taurus. There will be a familiarity about who and what comes your way from July 26. This is because it is karmic in nature. And about 18 or 19 years ago, you set up a situation at work, at university or college, or with your unpaid work, which now has to be finished off. It has to be settled. That is why everything and everybody will be going around in circles for a while. The bottom line is you are learning about how to handle power. There is now a great deal of power in the space that was not there before, and it has to be shared and it has to be managed. Gemini, you'll experiment with unorthodox new ways to be who you are publicly, in the mirror, or on the mirror of the internet, but it will set you free. Your image experiments will excite you, which is what this planetary cycle is all about. Uranus in Gemini, your own sign. All the U words always apply. So what happens is unique, unconventional, unexpected and unusual. Gemini, if you're true to your sign, you've already made one big breakthrough in terms of how you appear or how you look or how you are seen at first sight. This peak Gemini cycle can be electrifying. It will bring another breakthrough this week with your profile, your reputation, your face, shape, style, name, and so on. This cycle works instantly like lightning or electricity. So what does it mean to have Uranus in Gemini in your first house of image? Well, if you're one of those people who also have Aries factors in your birth chart, you can double this message. 2026 is a relaunch year for you. This is all about being true to yourself, being honest with yourself about who you are, and also confronting people who have some old ideas about who they think that might be. This is a week for looking at the labels that have been stuck on you, rightly or wrongly, and also looking at how you physically appear. There's absolutely nothing and nobody stopping you from being free, Gemini. Cancer. The planet Neptune is now in a cycle in your career, academic, and vocation zone. Paid or unpaid, you are now at the top of an escape from reality, or you're already there. Neptune can be confusing, so it's always useful to stop to see where you are and what those boundary creep situations are doing at work, at university or college, or with your unpaid work. When life is a blur and everything and everybody is all over the place all the time, you do have to put the boundaries back in. It's almost a rule with this cycle. What is going on now with Neptune is a holiday from reality. It's a vacation from the everyday. But there are also no lines in the sand. There is no anchor, or if there was, it keeps drifting. And you may be wondering when you are going to see some sort of order in what is going on. You and your boss may also be friends, for example, or your work partner may be your husband. What it means to have Neptune in Aries in the 10th house is a long stretch when this has to be managed. It's a bit like surfing or going deep sea diving. You wouldn't do it without the proper gear and knowing the currents. Well, there's no proper gear for this situation, Cancer, but there's certainly a lot to be said this week for understanding the way things are flowing and going and making sure that if you have to go back and reinforce boundaries, that you do it by Sunday. Leo. Destiny has given you the best chance in years to be one half of a power couple or a power partnership. This partnership is personal, or it is professional or platonic. That is what this Pluto cycle does. And it may not be easy or fast because you two are at different stages in your lives. But if you both remember that you're basically headed in the same direction, which is combining your clout and your control, it will be easier to manage the road ahead. The foundations are there this week. Leo, you may not be able to get what you want unless you realize that a large amount of teamwork and cooperation will be required with the other person. And from July 26, this becomes karmic in nature. The North Node also goes into the same zone of your chart, the 7th house. So what does it mean to have Pluto and the Node in the 7th? Well, for a start, you'll be taken back 18 or 19 years, which is when a situation was set up with this person or quite another that was never resolved. You never got closure. And now you're being shown from July 26 that until that settlement happens next year, you may have to go around in circles for a while. The repetition is part of the journey that gives you the final seal on the matter. It may help you to look back 18 or 19 years before, Leo, to see what was going on. Virgo. It's almost time to end a cycle with a partner, and the partner could be personal, like a wife or husband, professional, or platonic. So you two may share a home, but nothing more. It's a duet in any case. It's a pair or a couple. The more that you manage the situation now this week, the easier it will be to sign off on July 26 when this stuck, repetitive, predictable scenario finally stops. Your other half is very much part of the equation, but no matter what you do and say, nothing changes from them or with them. This is a classic cycle in astrology. They call it the nodal cycle, and it goes back 18 or 19 years to something that you set up then or something that was set up around you, either with this face or quite another. So there is a theme here or a remembered soundtrack from the past. Understanding that helps you keep going until July 26. But from that point, the North Node in Pisces in the 7th house is well and truly history, and it will not be back for another 18 or 19 years. In fact, there are no more major cycles in your 7th house at all. You have been through one episode after another, Virgo, either with the same person or with a series of different people who are always on the other end of the scales from you. This is because you had long-range cycles for many years in your opposite sign of Pisces, which rules your opposite number. This is now slowly drawing to a close, but it is useful this week to think about how you would like to sign off, how you would like the other person to sign off, and at what point you will realize, well, that karma is over. It may be July 27 or 28, but by the time you get to August, Virgo, it's really clear this is a whole new game. Libra. Well, life is a balancing act again this week. This set of scales that you are balancing with him or her, your partner of any kind, is really interesting. The duet or the pair or the couple, however it works for you, whether it's through business, for example, or through your personal life, is showing you that you are here to balance the scales with your sun in the 7th house natally. And the 7th house is ruled by Libra. It is about the left side and the right side, west and east, him and her, or the two of us, even if you are of the same sex. Figuring out the equilibrium will take you longer than this week, but you can't sit on the fence or you'll get nowhere. Neither do you need to be too much of the Libran cliche in your quest to get the other person on the other side. You don't have to be wobbly about this, but you do have to find the common ground that you share. That will be your foundation stone for some time to come. Locating the center force in the unusual situation that you are both now caught in is something that is worth putting time and energy into, mainly because it shows how you shine at your brilliant best. What it means to have Neptune and Saturn, both in Aries, both in your 7th house, is that part of your life will be an escape from the real world, but another part of your life will also be a waiting game or a test of patience if you want to know when the waiting stops. It will be when Saturn finally leaves in 2028. That shouldn't make you feel as if you have to watch the calendar, though. This process gets easier as time goes on, and you also do have that total escape from what we would call capital R reality. Scorpio. This multi-Aries cycle has a lot to say about your relationship with your boss, your employer, your client, staff, and colleagues. If you don't have a job, it's about your relationship with people who have an impact on your work at home or your duties in the wider community, and it also affects you as a student. There is an escape from the real world here, which you always get with Neptune. It is nothing like normal for you, and you are slowly getting used to it. However, there is also a test of your patience because Saturn is in there too. Sometimes people have two roles on this cycle. One of them involves a great deal of grit and stamina, and the other one is their outlet, for which they may or may not be paid. Maybe this is you, or perhaps you are discovering a way to experience both the escape but also the test of your patience in the same role. Meanwhile, things are changing rapidly from June 13. Success and status can be expanded, enlarged and increased from June 30, with a preview in the final 2 weeks of this new month. Understanding that so much more is possible will help you get on with what is an obvious way through or way out, whether you are looking for a solution or whether you need a promotion, a new job, a big success story, or an award. This cycle is about status as well as achievement, Scorpio. Knowing that it's around the corner will help you understand what's going on this week, and you have until mid-2027 to reach a peak achievement. Sagittarius. Well, freedom and independence are more important than commitment when Uranus is in your partnership zone. And this is any kind of partner at all. It may be a business double act, or it may be your boyfriend or girlfriend. Make yourself as popular as you can with the other person and try to make sure that it comes from the heart. And what is coming from the heart at the moment is the need to be free. You feel it, or certainly he or she does, and that has been the case since April when Uranus changed signs. There is a genuine link now between you and this man or this woman, and it is about mutual liberation, or it should be. If only one of you feels it, of course, there will be instability. But one way or another, this transit, proven through history and astrology, is all about space, and it's all about understanding that the rules have to change or even be bent. What it means to have Uranus in Gemini in the 7th house is about a personal, platonic, or professional double act, which needs to be reinvented. This cycle is associated with new inventions. So if you and he or she are in a position to try and reshape things quite radically, you will be well on your way. Maybe it is the only way that you can have that space. If, however, there is a situation where you feel restricted, trapped, or tied down, or the other person does, you are issuing an invitation to Uranus in Gemini to upset the apple cart, which is what it does. It's much better to be honest about what is required and to find a way to work towards it. Capricorn. Your health and well-being is more important now, and you may be facing crucial questions about your physical or mental health, your lifestyle, and the way that your workload is affected by how you are physically and mentally. This cycle is pretty new. It only kicked in April, and now it's really up front. I would guess that you're up for a few weeks of involvement with a doctor, a nurse, a dentist, an alternative health professional, a counsellor, and so on. But perhaps all this is about your weight loss. Uranus in Gemini is now firmly in your 6th house, which rules your wellness and also your workload. And the difference now is real. It began in April, but it's pretty public in June. And this cycle will make or break the independence that you have with your self-care. So this may be about your independent approach to looking after yourself without a doctor, or it may be breaking free from something that you feel is holding you back. It could be smoking, it could be sugar, maybe it's your health insurer. What it means to have Uranus in Gemini in the 6th house is to understand that everything is there to be negotiated. You don't have to stick to the past. And in fact, if the past has been a case of entrapment for you, no matter on what level your health has been operating, you're far more likely to do something sudden. It's also true that if the universe decides that you are stuck, it may intervene, and you may find yourself with a way through and a way out that you were not expecting. Capricorn, this does affect your workload, whether it's paid or unpaid. But the core issue this week is very much mind, body, and spirit. Aquarius. Well, this big Jupiter in Leo cycle, which all the astrologers are talking about, starts on June 30, but it's hinted at from June 13, as Venus also goes into Leo, and it is meant to be about the expansion of partnership, and it is also meant to be about big overdue solutions if you need one. The partnership can be any sort of double act at all, but it is very commonly about your love life. Jupiter is about solutions for issues, and it is also about taking something that is good and increasing your chances with it. So much depends on what you have with the other person, whether you are single, in a relationship, or if you are in a work partnership, for example, that is as important to you as a marriage. From June 13, it is all about understanding human nature and the way that human nature works with him or her. We are all only too human when Venus goes through this cycle. But from June 30, you realise that you are being shown incredible answers in the month of July and the month of August. If you need another person to appear who will help you grow as a partner in any situation, then by the end of August, that debut is very likely. Pisces. It's one of those weeks when you have to make money, real estate, business, or charity your excuse to become the greatest do-it-yourself accountant of all time. Pisces, your horoscope says you'll have plenty of paperwork, meetings, contracts or emails to deal with regarding the house or apartment, the family or household. Uranus in Gemini, in your zone of relatives and real estate, flat share, apartment share or house share, and property, is here to stay. And yet it doesn't move like other cycles. It moves in fits and starts. So the last thing that you expected is always the first thing that happens. You have had a couple of those moments since April when this transit began. There is rather a lot at stake because the whole world horoscope is showing really experimental economies, and that goes on all year, with Chiron in Taurus and next year too. So what's happening out there is affecting you and maybe property prices here, or the state of play with a landlord, a landlady, or a flatmate. Certainly with a relative for many of you. What this is all about is the question, how free are you? If there is anything or anybody which is preventing you from being free, whether it is a heavy mortgage or whether it is a family situation where you feel confined, it is very unlikely to last this year. In fact, it may be by July that you realise you are being pushed to change or accept a change. They do call this the revolution cycle, and here it is in Gemini in your 4th house, which rules the roof over your head, any real estate investment, and also the people in your family circle or at home. The revolution is certainly personal for you because it goes straight to the heart of what was there before. The way that life was in the early 2020s, and certainly in the decade before that, is not what is going to be served up in the future. And the reason for that is that the ties that bind have been too much for you or for somebody else. And that's what is going on this week. There is a kind of a ripple effect happening from this, and it will be pretty public too as the sun goes through Gemini right through June. By the time you're at July, the change will have been made and the crossroads will have been taken, and you will be a great deal more free. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week.